Hello, everybody. I'd like to thank everyone who's been participating in our first developer day today. Hope things have been going great. My name is Tim Peacock. I'm the Vice President of Engineering and the COO here at Affectiva. About 33 years ago, and indeed we did have computers back then, I took my newly minted MIT degree, the BS degree that Forrest just referred to, and turned down an offer from BBNN, not realizing that they were about to invent the internet, and joined a small video game startup who had just brought out a video game add-on board, which many of you would now know as Ms. Pac-Man. For the next few years, General Computer developed and monetized a considerable reputation for delivering video games that were, quote, not possible on the platforms of that day. Well, we really weren't that much better than others. We just worked at a place that really liked to go for it, to try and do things. And that's my message for you today at the end of our developer day, is to get out there and go for it. We hope that you'll take what you've learned here today and go out and build stuff, build amazing stuff, build silly stuff, fun stuff, boring stuff. Just get out there and build stuff. Why? Affectiva was founded about 7 years ago on the premise that emotions matter, and today we believe that more than ever. We've packaged up our emotion AI as SDKs, as you've been hearing about throughout the course of today, on pretty much every major platform. The SDKs are free to developers and small companies, or those of you who are not in a company at all, by which we mean under 1 million in annual revenues, and reasonably priced for larger firms. Why are we doing this? Because emotions matter everywhere, and everywhere, as it turns out, is a very big place. So what I'd like to do now is take you through some examples of things that people have already been doing with the SDKs to hopefully inspire you and give you ideas to riff off of. Basically, people have been using our technology in two different ways: what we call the insights and analytics use case and the real-time interaction use case. In the insights and analytics case, what they're doing is measuring the emotional response that people have to an experience. Audio cut out, I understand. Hold on. Okay. Sorry. So the insight and analytics case is measuring emotional response to anything, and it can be as obvious as an ad or a video or a website or a game, or even much more subtler than that. The real-time interaction is perhaps the even bigger and broader case. What should our devices do? What should our apps do if they understand our emotions? How will they adapt in real time? Taking a quick look at the insight and analytics, you can see what our market research product does. It looks at the aggregated responses, and it synchronizes them up with the stimulus. So you can see who laughed at that joke in that commercial. Did they laugh the first time? Did the second time? Did they enjoy it? Did males like it better than females, or vice versa? And then analytically, we've built a lot of stuff to try and simplify this down into simple scores. I'm going to spend most of the time on the SDK stuff, which you've been hearing so much about today. So as a reminder, the software development kit is available on iOS, Android, Windows, OS X, Linux, Unity, and JavaScript. And we're getting quite used to porting to any platform. So if there's a particular platform that you would need a port to, please get in touch. We'd be happy to consider it. So first, I'd like to show a little demo that Forrest and Steve whipped up, I believe, in about 7.2 hours. And the premise is that classic adventure game scenario where you get to a town gates and you need to get in, and you have to threaten the guard. Now we'll see if this comes off. Forrest, is everyone saying? So the guard is going to look around and then he'll see me. So now I need to threaten him. Get out of my way! So I managed to do it that time, and I will show you an approach that doesn't work to getting the guard to get out of your way. All right, I'm getting ready to tell him, please, sir, can you get out of my way? So hope everyone enjoyed that short demo. Obviously, in a real adventure game, you'd have to build out a lot more of that, maybe just changing the probabilities. But I think for us, to be honest here, that we're looking at just a few hours of development, and a lot of that was finding graphics and things like that, and the emotional part of it was actually pretty straightforward. So how are other developers using our SDKs? Let's look at some examples. I believe you probably saw this slide in the keynote, but we'll come back to it. People are using our technology in a wide variety of places, media and entertainment and advertising, human resources to assess interviews, automotive, robotics, healthcare, wellness, video communication, online education, devices, gaming, etc. A company called TrueCar did a light emotion display. That thing, that graphic in the background, that picture would change colors. And what's happening here is they were in a concert setting, and they were trying to reflect the mood of the crowd in real time. And the way it worked then, and it could probably work better now, is an app submitted selfies to the server. And this is a form of self-sampling of the crowd. So the crowd had to stop and click, and the pictures went up, and whatever the aggregated mood of the last 100 selfies or so that it saw, it would display. So today, we've come a bit further along with our capabilities. You could do this directly using the SDK on the mobile phone directly and just sort of send the emotion rather than the selfie. Or indeed, you could take advantage of the multi-face capabilities of the SDK and have a camera move around the crowd, sampling the crowd for you. On the more marketing front, so I must say I don't like the color of the car. This is a Bentley Inspirator. So many of you perhaps have gone to car sites where you can build your own version of the car. So the Bentley creative agency came up with the idea that they would show you videos, and it was your reaction to the videos, as measured by Affectiva, which would design the car for you. And basically, you'd watch the videos, and then they'd build a bespoke personal Bentley, a Bentayga. I should hasten to add that, sadly, we are not giving away a Bentayga as a prize here today. All right. Then a company called Wild Blue Technologies built this smile sampler for Hershey, and I'm going to try and see if I can get the video to work. So bear with me. If not, you can chase the link later. Here we go. Good luck. And I can see that's choppy. My apologies. And I apologize. I think that might have been a little bit choppy. If you want to see the full video, it's at wildbluetech.com/smile-sampler. And thanks to Wild Blue for both producing the smile sampler, which Hershey loves, and also for the video. Cloverleaf Media makes point-of-purchase displays, and now they make them that are emotionally aware. So basically, it gathers insight about a shopper's emotion, also their age, gender, and ethnicity, and adapts the display and what they're advertising to more closely match what they think you might want. It's delivered double digits sales uplift. It's a good use of real-time traffic awareness and conversion. It has also pushed our technology to the edges of what the tracker can do, and we're always looking to improve. And that's another thing I would encourage folks when you're working with the SDK. We're really here to work with you. If you run into difficulties, that's what we're here for, and it will only make our product better if we understand the challenges that you are facing. In gaming, we've showed a little demo here of what we thought of in-house. Obviously not a full-fledged game, but in gaming we expect that they will look at the real-time interaction and adapting the games, as well as insight and analytics. And indeed, there's a game on the market called Nevermind from a company called Flying Mollusk. And basically, this is a game studio that uses the technology to create entertaining and impactful games. It's a psychological thriller game called Nevermind. It takes our SDK, which is integrated with it, and senses a player's facial expressions for signs of emotional distress. And basically, what Nevermind, to succeed at Nevermind, is you have to have low stress and not be showing fear. So if you can't manage your stress or fear, the roads can flood, spikes might jut out of the floor, or more and more static might get in. Essentially, the game gets harder and more scary the more scared and stressed you are. On the other hand, if you can manage your fear, calm your stress, calm down, then the game becomes easier to play. So we wish Flying Mollusk and Nevermind a great success in market with that. There's another one of our partners, a company called Uvu, now called Crush, which introduced a game that is on the App Store called Flinch, which is just a take on the classic staring contest. Instead of not blinking, what you have to do is not smile. Uvu is a video communication platform that is popular in certain parts of the country and in Europe. And indeed, our technology, the Affectiva SDK and the Uvu SDK, have been combined and is available so that you can, any app that you can think of that would involve peer-to-peer video communication, or actually I think even one-to-many, but also the emotional data going back and forth at the same time is enabled by that SDK. Encourage you to play Flinch. I think it's actually done very well. And a different take, a partner of ours called HireView is humanizing job interviews. Really, and what they're doing is they're applying deep learning to the job interviewing and coaching aspect of it. One of the first ways they've gone to market is they've automated the first round of interviews. So instead of talking to someone on the phone or coming in for a short interview, you actually do a video interview where you're asked a few questions and give answers, and the video is submitted, and the HireView system has learned a model to allow it to assess who typically would pass the first round for that job in that organization. Prior to working with Affectiva, they were just looking at the natural language and the audio signal and parsing the language and looking at the language of the responses. They had the video, they incorporated our SDKs, and thus got all the emotional data that was in it, and has made a tremendous increase in the accuracy of their models. And they've also found out that top performers in interviews tend to be more expressive. So remember to smile when you're out there interviewing, particularly if you're interviewing at Affectiva. In the learning area, which is actually my favorite area to try to work with, a company called Little Dragon. I don't know if we had a talk about Little Dragon a bit earlier, I'm not sure. It's a mobile app responsive to the emotional state of each learner. So basically, it's tailoring its educational experience to you in that cute form factor, obviously aimed at a younger demographic, so that you can, it feels more interactive. It isn't just a screen that's sitting there, as Rana alluded to at the beginning of the day, being non-emotional and non-responsive to your emotional state. And Tega, and this segues into Tega, which is a learning companion for kids from the MIT's Media Lab, where they've done a study, and it turns out that you can, by having this robot, who isn't even teaching, the actual teaching is occurring on I think on a tablet next to you, but it can be anything next to you, clearly. But Tega responds emotionally to you, and it turns out that children do better when someone's in sync with their emotions. They learn better, which makes intuitive sense, but hasn't really been possible until now. Continuing on, basically the way we're interacting with machines is just changing. It's becoming more relational, more intimate. When people are faced with problems, even severe or life-threatening problems, they are often reaching for their smartphones. So they talk to Siri when they're depressed, they talk to her, perhaps they're being assaulted. In my house, we scream at Amazon Echo all the time and duel over who controls the music. But in most cases, these AIs don't understand it because they're not emotional AIs, they're just AIs. They say, I'm sorry, I don't know what you mean by that. And at best, they refer to you a hotline. What people need is empathy. They need a champion. They need a trustworthy companion. And this can have real value in terms of motivating change, whether it's losing weight or sleeping better, or taking our medication, or just being more productive. You see some of the examples there from a variety of partners that are underway. Finally, we're looking at we see a future where an emotion chip exists, infusing all of our technology with emotion and understanding, from a retail kiosk to a smartphone that knows your mood, to cars that can sense emotion as well as tell that perhaps you shouldn't be driving. My favorite case, as I said, better educational outcomes. There's a whole world out there. If the educational platform knows the emotional state, knows your frustration, knows your boredom, knows your excitement, how can it adapt? Games that adapt, that goes back to my roots in this industry. We would have loved to have this technology. The whole field of social robots with tremendous empathy for people. And I believe we even saw some of this earlier today in one of the tracks, remote healthcare. As telemedicine becomes more and more important, the need for emotional understanding in the system and to help people on each side of that conversation understand the emotion is critical. To help you think of ideas, we recently created this guide called 20 Awesome Emotion-Enabled Campaign Ideas. It's at goaffectiva.com/20-ideas. Chase this link to get some inspiration. We think there's a lot of really cool ideas there. And then finally, again, we're here to help. To get started, as you've heard throughout the day, there's a developer portal with documentation and access to the SDKs. There's sample code and utilities on GitHub. We'll get Threaten the Guard up there soon as well. The Ask Questions through Stack Exchange, of course, tag is Affective SDK. And send us your feedback, send us your questions, push us, tell us what's not working well, tell us what capabilities you need in the SDKs or out of our technology and our cloud systems as well. We believe that emotions matter. We're here to help the world do that, but we can only do that through people such as yourselves. Thanks. I see I'm a few minutes early. I don't think anyone will be terribly upset by that, and maybe we can segue if there's any questions. I should also say that I think we're going into the general Q&A. Is that right, Forrest? And so in the room with me is Dr. Rana El-Kaloubi, our founder and CEO, and Gabby Zeiderfeld, our Chief Marketing Officer. All right, what do you need to do? Okay.
So should be at the very bottom. 1534.
All right, so I see several questions. Backing up. All right, so going back, is emotion recognition only applicable to humans? Oh, I think I'm going to throw that to Rana. Our technology is only applicable to humans. I'm a dog owner. I believe they show emotion. I might be anthropomorphizing them. I'm not aware of any technology that recognizes emotions in non-humans. Rana, do you? Like dogs, cats? I don't know. All right. So I think the answer for the moment, from an Affectiva point of view, is no. How does a company partner with Affectiva to develop products? Excellent question. So first of all, you could just grab the SDK and start doing it. But if you need to reach out to us, the best contact point is probably sdk@affectiva.com. And someone like some of the presenters today, Jason Krupat, who's Director of Product Strategy, and Abdo Mahmoud. Abdo is the Product Manager for SDKs. So basically, try it or just pick up the phone or drop us an email and get into a conversation. We're very eager to do that. I'm not sure if that completely answered Nermeen's question. If technology of emotion recognition is widespread, have you any concern about ethics? Yes, absolutely. in fact, in our standard contract, there are certain uses of the emotion technology that we will not participate in and won't let our licensees participate in, the more security related. I'm not saying it can't be useful there, it's just something that Affectiva does not choose to do. We believe that emotion technology should only be used with the fully informed consent of the participants. There has to be a reason why a person is letting their face be seen and letting their emotions be assessed. And that ultimately drives not only to informed consent, but also to it's valuable to them. It's worth it to the person who's doing it. The educational experience is better. The SDKs also handle the privacy issue very nicely in the sense that the data doesn't really have to leave the device. So my smartphone can be helping me learn math, but it doesn't mean anyone else is involved or sees the data or understands my struggles with math. Will we see Affectiva in future operating systems for Microsoft and Google? Well, yes, I certainly hope so. I mean, I think the ultimate end game for emotion technology is to be baked into at the chip level and to be baked and accessible through the major platforms. We have a little ways to go before we're doing that, but certainly Microsoft and Google themselves are very interested in emotion technology. They see this trend as well. Are medical doctors accepting and open to emotional feedback approaches to medical care? I think it's too early for us to really say at this point. Certainly, my own experience, so this is not based on trying to get doctors to accept emotional technology. My own experience with doctors is some of them are very interested in more cutting edge, but a lot of doctors' offices have been a bit phobic about technology. So I think it could be quite a while before you see the medical community adopt it. On the other hand, if you look at the sort of a practice that's doing telemedicine, they've already adopted a fair amount of technology and they may find it useful. But I certainly can see a challenge with medical doctors accepting emotional feedback. I would note that I think in the educational field, we might have a similar, but perhaps not as daunting challenge doing that for professors. Do we plan to include more subtle emotions, in particular those with a heavy semantic load, such as jealousy? Yes, absolutely. The expression level of our SDKs is fairly rich, but the emotion level is just beginning. Data will help do it. We're talking about building a capability and a framework and a platform that can accept your data and provide custom emotions for your context and exactly what you need. But we've only really just begun on the emotional journey, and yes, absolutely, more subtle emotions, more context aware. Does Affectiva specifically tailor the programming according to some of the products? Yes, in the sense of the packaging. For example, one of the robotics company was an early partner of ours. They needed a specific Linux version before we even had a Linux SDK, and we were happy to do that. And that's an example of us working. So the core science, obviously tailoring the models is on a custom level is coming in the future. Large part, for some people, we've worked on with the feedback of what they're missing, but we're certainly willing to customize the packaging. A lot of this is, of course, the key to models that fit your use case is data, right? So if we already have data for your use cases, then that's easy. But if you have a use case when we don't have the data yet, then we work on a relationship where we collaborate, we share the data, and we can produce the models for you. My closing thoughts are, again, thank you all for attending today. I hope it was useful. There's a way to present feedback. And we'd love to have your feedback on Developer Day in specific, but also in general on all of our product offerings. I appreciate your time.